I'm Suhadeen, consultant histopathologist. My fascination for effective teaching revolves around how to learn in an enjoyable and productive way with consideration of clinical implications. With the evolution of training and learning, we moved away from traditional apprenticeship. This has raised concerns among some of us that doctors will not have the time or the opportunity to learn and be as good as their predecessors. At the same time, paper turners are getting out of fashion. Therefore, the availability of a wide range, high-quality e-learning material is essential to compensate for this. I started this project when I was awarded a grant to purchase a virtual microscopy machine, which is an essential tool if we wanted to include pathology in an interesting way in medical e-learning projects. This was followed by a pilot project of preparing for the modules that I'm presenting today. I'd like to underscore that interesting design with interactive simulation followed by self-assessment are absolutely necessary to develop high-quality e-learning material. We used graphic design to include images of real specimens and samples in clinical scenarios. We were keen to include high-quality, highly interactive simulation material with case scenarios, clinical reviews, and clinical pathological correlations. The cases in the early clinical learning module were followed by MCQ-style self-assessment quiz with immediate constructive feedback. The cases in the autopsy module were followed by an innovative self-assessment tool, which is the mind map or diagnostic map, where we presented a framework of the clinical pathological cause of the disease and blanked some of the items. There is a panel of options. We drag and drop in these blank spaces, and there will be an immediate constructive feedback whether it was correct or wrong and why it was wrong. There is an opportunity to reset and start again until you get the full frame of the clinical pathological process. The same assessment of drag and drop and we used in the mind map, we used it to teach newly qualified doctors how to write the cause of death, where there is a panel of options that we drag and drop to decide whether this would be an immediate cause of death or contributory cause of death. And each of them will be followed by an immediate feedback to explain why this entity was used an immediate cause of death, or should it have been a contributory cause of death. For example, in this case, we are looking at chronic ischemic heart disease and the possible consequences of congestive cardiac failure. Also, what are the contributory factors that might decompensate heart failure? This makes this case versatile in the way that it can be attached to pathology teaching as well as cardiology teaching according to the learning objectives of the medical curriculum. At this stage, we are going to consider the feedback we have received to improve the module. We are going to increase the number of cases to cover for the gaps in the curriculum, and we're going to look out for further development in e-learning modules.
What I found particularly useful with the package was that it incorporated a medical condition and really extensively went through all aspects of it, from the presenting features, how to diagnose it, the investigations, and in particular the histopathology and also imaging. So something that we haven't really been exposed to too much throughout medical school, and something that we're going to need to know for our future careers as doctors. In particular, I found very interesting was the virtual autopsy, because we've had no exposure throughout medical school to the process of an autopsy. So we sort of were able to go through the different sequences of events for the causation of a death, and then at the end it talked us through which was the main causative factor and why, and I found that particularly interesting. It'll be excellent for consolidating the knowledge that I've acquired over the last 4 years, and in particular I found the assessments at the end of each section very helpful, with useful pointers as to where I went wrong and where I can improve on answering next time.